Have you all heard of Gaiwan? Lambda Island?
Yes.
Yeah.
Part of Clojure?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the common denominator is the same person who created Lambda Island CLI, an opinionated, batteries-included approach to command line parsing in Clojure Babashka. But one you should find intuitive and pleasant to use. Telling us more about friendly command line tools and dev automation, please welcome Arne Brasseur.
Hello, everyone. Actually, going to just start watch. Okay. Yeah. So this is me. These are some places online where you can find me. Let's talk about Lambda Island CLI. Nice. Okay, it's good. So yeah, it's just another CLI parsing library. So we have tools.cli. There's Babashka-CLI, which Michiel mentioned, which is fantastic, of course. But I did always feel like they were not like quite what I wanted out of such a library, and so a couple years ago I set out to make my own. Some of the goals, and I'll very quickly, it's mostly just going to be demos, but some of the goals are just like very gradual approach, basically meaning you can start with like absolutely minimal setup, you don't need to pre-declare anything, and then as your thing gets more complex, you can like make it more strict. Really great help text out of the box without having to do extra stuff. Flexible, versatile, powerful, and I will add maybe one more, which is follow existing command line conventions, which is like I've blogged about that, I feel very strongly about that, I think a lot of tools get that wrong, and I think it's important. All right, so let's actually get into it. So here's an example script. So I have a shebang which just calls out Babashka, could also be Clojure, it's just a Clojure library, but here I'm using Babashka. In this case, I'm adding a dependency here, so it's a self-contained script. In a lot of cases, I'll also just do that in BB Eden. And then, of course, we require Lambda Island CLI. I have a function, just a Clojure function with a doc string, takes an options map, and then we call CLI dispatch. Right? So let's actually see. We have Starship 00. Help if I can type. And something already went wrong. That's fine. You can see that there's the start of some help text there. Now this is usually, this is really the extreme minimal version. Usually you'll go at least one level up where you sort of, that's so readable, right? Where, you have a map here. Oh yeah, do note that, for instance, this control a starship, and normally also the description are sort of taken from that doc string, so this is a pattern you'll see throughout. So here's sort of like a more real-world example where we do have this map, but maybe I do pull this out into a function, CLI, and have the doc string on here. And we say command CLI. So let's see what that looks like. Right, and so we get both this part and this part from the doc string. Now, we didn't declare any flags or anything. So let's look at some of the stuff it does. So we can say foo or bar equals 1, 2, 3 or something like this. And then we can just have positional arguments, and so we get all of those parsed. You'll see for basically Boolean flags, it counts them. If they're not there, you can still just treat them as a Boolean, but it means that something having multiple levels of verbose kind of works out of the box because you can treat it either as a Boolean or as an integer. Okay, so where do we go from here? In this case, instead of a single command, so here I just have command and then a function or a var. Here I have commands, right? So now we have an info command. So let's go to Starship 1. And now if I just call it without anything, it knows that it hasn't had enough input, so it's going to show you the help text because it needs at least one subcommand. So we can call info. Also a little thing that's one of these conventions. Say we have first of all, positional arguments and flags, we can kind of like put them in any order, doesn't matter. But also we can like do this double dash thing and then have things after here which still get treated like positional arguments. This is like one of those things that a lot of tools support that I feel like tools should support out of the box. Okay, let's go a little faster here. Version 2. So here, what has changed here is that now this info has, wait, what has changed? Yeah, that now info itself, well, I've pulled out these commands. Not too much else to it. Let's actually go to number 3. So now info itself has become a var, get info on our starship. And so now, because like we have, you know, we have a doc here and we have a doc on this var, I can get like the help for the thing itself, or I can get help for nested commands. Let's go to version 4. Now we actually have implemented our info. So we have a file here, starship.eden, with a bunch of our starships, and we can get info on them, right? So let's, where were we? Starship 4 info. Right, these are some culture style starships. Now maybe we also want to have some command line flags. So we already have commands, and we say commands, commands. Now we also have flags, flags. And you see flags here. Ship takes an ID. It understands this syntax. It also understands this uppercase syntax. By default, you just have to give it a description. But you can also use a map to put some extra stuff. So let's actually look at Starship 5. So it'll know now that like it'll tell you that like there's a default starship.eden, and that'll get automatically populated under this key in this options map. So now we can deconstruct here, read our starship Eden, and so info file starship 2.eden, and there are some other starships. Now version 6, we've now put a handler here that basically handles reading this file. So now, right, so this handler bit here is new. So it takes the options map so far, might be stuff in there from other command line flags as well. It takes that unparsed argument, and then it's going to read the file, put it on the options as the data key, and then here we get data and we can use it. And so, where were we? 6. Even if we leave this off, it's basically going to run this default through your handler to still like get that same logic. Number 7, what do we have here? Now we have done a couple things here. Well, we've added an engage command. So engines, well, we've had engines, and yeah, this one's a bit of a draw the rest of the owl already. So let's actually look at what 7 does. So 7 has engines, which has 2 subcommands, info and engage, and we still have our info. So now we can get info on our engines. So different machines have different engines, and we can engage an engine, which basically is going to like write an output file. Actually, it's supposed to like overwrite the existing file. It's going to update. I have a little helper here, update ID, because it's like vectors with IDs and maps that don't care too much about that. Basically, it's going to set the engaged flag to true. So we should be able to say like engage ship. Let's say you don't see that every day, and then the engine is the core engine. And then now if we say engines info on out, then now core should have been engaged. But you get the idea. Just going to move on. Now the thing is, like, now we have multiple commands, and they read data, they write data. So one of the cool things you can do here is that you can start using a middleware pattern. Am I already at the middleware? No. What happened here? So yeah, now we have an input, and yeah, we do. We have like rep data. So here I've said now middleware rep data, and so rep data is going to read the data, make it available in the options map, and then if your command outputs it in its results, if it's there and it's different, then it's going to like spit it out again. So let's actually try this again with Starship 8, see if this one works. And then engine info. I swear this was working before. But so this is a cool pattern. And then one more thing you can do with that, for instance, is do like error handling. So here in Starship 9, we have an error command. And it's going to say, oh, divide by 0, run with show trace to see the full stack trace. So then I can do show trace and get the stack trace. So these are the kind of things that like this middleware is quite useful for. There's more, obviously it couldn't cover everything, but I hope this gives you some appreciation. And this has really allowed us to like add these like our own little command line tools to projects more and more, and like do project automation in there. And so very much enjoy, and invite you to try that out, and hopefully you enjoy it. Thank you.